Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, and old school Deltia fans remember the build Bubble Trouble, the Templar tank built around Blazing Shield, and we're bringing it back. It took me a lot of sets and a lot of playtime to figure out how this can work with no CP and CP, especially in coordinated small groups, particularly looking at focusing on like a Battlegrounds team. So, if you're looking for a Templar tank that can have a lot of group utility, do damage, and it's fun to play, look no further. Bubble Trouble's back. Welcome to my Ebonheart Chateau with my little pirate dude here, Argonian. You know I'm rocking an Argonian for this build. Everyone knows it. And this is where I collect all the tiers from PvPers. And we've been getting a lot of them lately. A lot of hate whispers. And I appreciate those. A lot of teabags, and those are great. And reason why this build's hard to play against. It really is. And so I want to give something for y'all to do if you're getting tired of getting zerged down by 30 people every day. Battlegrounds coming out, that ain't gonna happen. But you still need to have an optimized build that can center around group play, fulfilling a role, fulfilling a purpose, and that's what this does really well. Everything I slot on my bar, I tested, theory crafted, tried it relentlessly, and played it over and over. I just didn't set this up and throw it on my bar and go, yeah, this is gonna be a great build. I tested the crap out of this stuff. So when I tell you this is what works best for me, it may not work what's best for you, so you have to experiment with it. Undoubtedly, the lifeblood of tanking in PvP is guard. People still don't realize how freakishly powerful it is in PvE and PvP, and you don't see a whole lot of people using it. And I'm telling you right now, when Battlegrounds comes out, if you don't run a guard with your tank, you're going to be missing out, because it is that spectacular of a skill. Now, this gives you minor vitality as well as the person you're guarding with it. It absorbs damage. Now, you're going to put this usually under the squishiest target in your party or a healer if they're getting pressured. It does have a hefty stamina cost, so if the person's really highly mobile, you're playing in the open field, it's not going to be advantageous for you to guard that person. You need to guard the slow, methodical healer or DPS that's with you. Basically an AoE Dragonite or another Templar tank healer, and your both are indestructible. So it gives you the buff, which is minor vitality, so that way we can use channel focus as our morph. The other reason that this skill is so strong is it takes into your account your mitigation and the other players. Also, the damage that you absorb from this does apply to your Blazing Shield, which is the focal point in the center point of this build. So, guard is going to feed damage into our Adric Spear Blazing Shield. Surround yourself with the shield based on your max health, and each nearby enemy increases the strength of this shield when you activate it in a 5-meter radius. When it explodes, it reflects the damage. So, what are some keys about this? It's based on your max health. That's obvious. Shields are cut in half in Cyrodiil. Also, for no CP campaigns, you're not going to have the Bastion in your champion points either, so it's not going to be as effective. But you can still get about 53,000 health with this build and have a lot of resource sustained. So you'll see some other Blazing Shield builds that have 70k health and they cast 2 shields and they're out of resources. They block one and break free once, they're out of resources. Not the case with this build. With that amount of HP, and you're looking 60 to 64,000 in CP campaigns, I have gotten massive damage with this ability. You're talking 11k AoE crits, 11,000 damage to players when it critically hits, and then also it can proc your Burning Light passive as well. Since our max magic isn't high, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it's still something. So even a couple thousand here, if it crits 2, adds up. So you're talking, it could possibly be 13,000 damage instantly that they're just feeding you. So they don't, if you're smart and you encounter someone using this build, you don't want to attack me. But you counter that by guarding someone that they're attacking. So there is a way around everything. And so if they're smart and they're not attacking you, which you're going to get zerged down eventually, or in battlegrounds you're going to have to entangle and fight people, guard is what's going to transfer damage to this, along with AoE skills. They're just going to have to hit you. It's unavoidable. Ultimates, Destro Ults, Dawnbreakers, Steel Tornado, Deadly Cloaks, you're going to be hit. Now, the trick with using this ability, okay, you're going to see a lot of inexperienced players playing Blazing Shield tanks do this. And they're basically panic casting Blazing Shields. Don't panic cast Blazing Shield. Understand what it does, how it works, how it reflects damage. So it has 6 seconds before it goes off, okay? So when you click it, you're going to see a little line on your health bar. Even when you're on console, your health bar will change color. It'll be like a purplish tint over your health bar. What that tells you is you have a shield there. So if you see the little Deltia right below that on my health, that has a shield. As I take damage, it goes away, right? It diminishes. Why am I explaining this to you? Well, because you don't want to recast the shield early. You want it to explode. Now, when there's a million animations going on and you can't see a whole lot of things or hear it, that's what you're going to pay attention to if it's exploded. If not, you're going to let it expire. The only time you would panic cast Blazing Shield, like repeatedly like this, is if there's 15 people beating on you, like in some of my videos, and you're basically going to absorb all that damage instantly, and then you're going to reflect it back. So when I was able to do this inside a keep, I eventually died, but I got 15,000 damage a second, over 40 seconds, just by me guarding my healer and us in there casting Blazing Shields like this. So it becomes, you become way more damage producing the more people that are attacking you. Battlegrounds, I played them, they're amazing. At some point, y'all are going to have to tango. That's why this is effective. Open world Cyrodiil, in between in the fields, not effective. Inside of a keeps, ridiculously effective. Another thing to know about Blazing Shield is when you have it and you apply it and you bar swap, obviously the thing persists, right? That's pretty self-explanatory. So what we do is we put structured entropy on our Blazing Shield bar to pump up our health. So we're going to have an extra set piece, and we're going to have structured entropy here. So you can see my health here on my sword and board, and this is with CP, is 54,000. When I bar swap, it's 40,000, because I lose Plague Doctor and you lose structured entropy. That's still plenty of max health, but it factors in the shield, which bar you're on when you cast it. So with this setup, you don't need to have it double barred and wasting your slots. That's what affords you to be able to have Mystic Guard on your bar, is that we pump up this bar specifically with passives that help this. So what other passives help this? Well, Absorb Magic, primarily. Basically, this heals you based on your max health, so that's really good, but it only absorbs magic projectiles. So if a Sork is sitting there hard casting C-frags on you, this thing will skyrocket heal you. So you can cast it. I've got 10, 11k absorb magics with all my buffs up. And so this is really good, though it's a stamina cost ability, so you don't want to spam this, but you want to use it sparingly. Also, for slotting it, it increases our block damage and reduces our block cost. Now, why do I have a Sword and Shield? I have Sword and Shield for the extra set bonus and then blocking sometimes. Remember, you want to take damage with this build, so you can blow up Blazing Shields. So you're not always going to want to block. In fact, I don't block that frequently. The times I would block is if I had excessive stamina and I'm out of magic, which rarely happens. And so those are the cases that I would block. But mainly it's to use this ability and have the extra set bonuses by we use Sword and Shield. Vampire, Invigorating Drain. A big problem with my builds when I was testing this is the lack of CC. This gives great CC. The downside is if someone's blocking, this will not crowd control them. It will not stun them. But if you're skilled and you can time it for when someone is not blocking or they bar swap quickly, this is one of the best stuns in the game. And if you'll notice, what does it do? Restores percentage-based healing based off of your missing health. So why do we have this on our front bar? The reason why is this is where all of our max health is. So when we're low, let's say 25%, we are healing way more with this channel than we would be if it were, say, on our back bar. You're talking this thing can crit upwards to 4K if we're very, very low. And it stuns, and it generates ultimate. It's incredible. You are vulnerable while using it, though, so someone can bash you and stop it, and that's a good counter for it. But what we do in coordinated PvP is call our targets, and then I prime them. So I'm going to stun them. So the DPS don't have to waste time with the CC, like a Fear or a Javelin or a Spear or anything. They can focus on just doing damage. So when we're calling targets, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to drain this person in 3, 2, 1. Boom, Dawnbreakers go out, I CC them, they get nuked, 1 down, we win. Can't say enough about this ability. It's a great, great skill. Now, our ultimate of choice. So we have a bunch of different options. Now, Sword and Board ultimate isn't going to be effective because, like I said, we want to take damage. We don't want to block. I like Nova. Nova is an AoE damage mitigation. Grav Crush, it's incredible damage. It's a snare with the other version, but you really want the Grav Crush of Solar Prison because the Grav Crush synergy with a high DPS ability, a high DPS character using it, will just flatten people. So it's just awesome skill that the Templar has. Some other options would be Vampire, Devouring Swarm here. So it's AoE healing, basically keeps you alive for 5 seconds. Though the problem with this ability is it keeps you alive, it doesn't keep anyone else. So it's not nearly as good for group utility in my opinion. If I'm playing solo, yeah, it's great. Another option here, if you want to be ultra tanky, is going with Empowering Sweep, so damage reduction. But that can be counterproductive as well, because we want to take damage. And then finally, good old Remembrance. Remembrance, AoE damage reduction, stacks with major protection for incredible damage reduction. So if you're taking heavy Destro ults and your healer uses the Resto Staff ultimate and you're using this, you're not dying. The downside, it's not mobile. And most of the time, we need to move when we're in trouble. And so that's why I don't use this primarily. So if you wanted, you'd have a stationary ultimate. I like Nova because it has some damage. And I think strongly that every character in arenas, battlegrounds, whatever you want to call them, should have one DPS ultimate or group utility ultimate and then one healing or defensive ultimate. It works very well with that type of coordination. So you can stagger the effects and keep it going. My back bar looks similar to almost all my Templar builds because it's what works, the most effective way to do it. Now, I tried Mutagen, I tried Spear, I tried a bunch of different abilities, and this is the combination that worked the best. So we're going to start off with Guard. Obviously, we're going to put that on both bars so it doesn't fall on and off. Otherwise, you would just blow through your stamina. And then secondly, Elusive Mist. Now, I tried not having this on my bar, and it just didn't work. It's so key for mobility. Even in arenas, you're going to need to get out of bad stuff. You're going to need to escape. And the fact that it removes, immobilizes, is essentially a game changer. The problem with PvP right now, and if it doesn't get fixed for arenas and battlegrounds, will be that immobilizations have no cooldown. So Dragon Knights, Sorks, anything that with immobilize are going to be the winners in battlegrounds because you can cast them over and over and over. Someone casts Talons on me, I cleanse it. They cast it right back. Guess what? That effect applies. That's why this skill is so effective. If the immobilizations get cooldowns, this won't be that effective. But right now, it's essential going up against other coordinated teams. Another thing you gotta have, Extended Ritual, best skill that we have. Removes 5 harmful effects, AoE healing, grants a synergy for people, and major mending. Can't say enough about this skill. So combine this before you get in Mistform and or after is how you survive on this build. I have Channel Focus. I like Channeled Focus because I don't want to mitigate too much damage. I want to be able to take a lot of damage, so the other morph isn't as good, and also I'm getting Minor Vitality from this. And then also, if you're playing in no CP, the rune provides you insane resources. It's so powerful, which makes Magic Templars really powerful in no CP campaigns, and primarily it's because of this skill. I have a good old off-heal Breath of Life. It's way too powerful, it's too easy, and this has to be nerfed eventually, but I'm going to use it for the time being. So surprisingly or not, on a 60k tank health, I can get 10,000 crit Breath of Lives. I mean, that's terrible balance, but I'm going to use it. It's extremely powerful. To give you an idea, that's half of my Guardian build, which is my PvP healer. So the fact that I'm a tank and I can off-heal my group that effectively is ridiculous. So you need that to heal yourself up and off-heal just in case you need it. I really believe that everyone needs a self-heal and a way to help their group members. And then lastly, we have the most impactful skill in the game right now, I think, and that is Light's Champion. Major favorite force, major protection for 5 seconds. Can't say enough about it. Ridiculously low ultimate cost with invigorating drain up frequently. You're going to have this thing all the time. It's incredible. Now, a trick that you can use here is Replenishing Barrier on your front bar. It's going to give you more resources. And what it does is restores magic and ultimate when it dissolves. So if you're playing with 4 people, obviously 6 times 4, you're going to get ultimate back, but with 1 invigorating drain, a light attack to generate ultimate, my barriers are starting to pop. I can basically go into a fight and hit a barrier, and then within 30 seconds, have a resto ult. And then when you have a coordinated team and the healer runs one as well, you're basically saying, my resto ult out, 5 seconds, they're going to get healed from your ritual, and then Breath of Life if you're doing it, and then bang, your healer pops it, and you're pretty much indestructible. This is basically the skill loadout, and how to use this, it's very simple, right? Don't overcast stuff. Basically, my range attack is literally just structure entropy, and I'm getting my major sorcery up, because remember, healing is based off your spell damage. So that can actually help my healing, and it can do a decent dot. So it's something that I cast at range. My job primarily is to guard the target that's in trouble. If I have excessive stamina, I swap guard. I cast it again and recast it when someone is getting pressure, like my healer. All of a sudden, a DPS goes to 50% health. 3 people are banging on them. Put your mouse over them or screen, whatever. Click it, guard them, absorb the damage. Then your main bread and butter, Blazing Shield. You want to be in the center of reaction, taking as much damage and letting it explode, watching your health bar for when it does. If you can't hear it, recasting it only then. And then absorb magic if you're getting peppered at range by magic dealers, and stun mob, and stun your enemies. Be that annoying Templar that locks people down with this stun. When it comes to defensives, you're basically going to keep your ritual down and your focus. If you're getting a lot of pressure, you're going to need to cleanse yourself frequently, off heal when available, and then time Resto Staff ultimates with your other healer to provide damage mitigation. Typically, this is going to be when 2 teams hit each other head on, and you're going to see the big old red Destro ults. That's what you're going to use this for. Now let's go ahead and move on to the gear so you can understand how I maintain resources so well, if you all see it on the stream, and then also what I do to get this much max stats. So it's pretty obvious when this set came out what it was designed for, and that's a Blazing Shield Templar. So you can see, incredible max health bonus, and that's what it's for. I put it on my sword and board bar, that way my health is big time on my sword and board, not so much on my resto staff. Another reason I do that is so when I bar swap, you'll see that I'm at 75% health. Now you're like, well, that's probably a disadvantage, right? Actually not. It's actually an advantage to me if I'm going to use Invigorating Drain. Remember, it's based on your missing health. So by default, I have 25% less health on my sword and on my resto staff bar than I do my sword and board. So even just doing one simple bar swap will make Invigorating Drain heal more effectively. The main 5-piece that I run on my body for no CP is Black Rose with Prismatic Enchant. Staggeringly powerful for stamina and magic sustain. It's just, I can't say enough about it. It's freakishly powerful in no CP. Heavy armor is way too powerful, and this amplifies it to a great extent and gives me tons of max stats. It's just freakishly powerful. So you look here, 54k health, 19k max stamina, and 17,000 magic. And in heavy armor, I'm almost at 1,400 magic recovery. This is with CP though, and if I pop this at a potion here, jumps up at almost 1,600. You look at my constitution, which is the most overpowered thing about heavy armor, it's almost at 1,800 every 4 seconds. So recovery is every 2 seconds. Divide that in half. I'm just rocking in resources. It's just disgusting. So you're going to go health and then prismatic on your enchants and your heavy pieces. An alternative when I'm playing in champion point land is I don't need Black Rose because I should be able to sustain just fine without it since I have champion points. So the best set you can run coordinated PvP is Fasalas. When I tested this, basically the target that I'm guarding, if they take damage and it's reflected to me, this set will actually also debuff them. The thing that's so strong about this set is that the healing reduction debuff stacks with major defile and stacks with minor defile. Furthermore, it stacks with your champion points if you're going to use them over here. So the B-file. So essentially with Fasalas, a major defile provided by someone else or even Dark Flare, minor provided by a weapon enchant, and B-file, we got up to 77% healing reduction. So if you're wondering how to counter super powerful healers, this build is how to do it. Now, since you are used to no CP, you can put all this junk over here into here and get 100 points in there and just be fine with Fasalas on. So your options are Fasalas for CP, take off Black Rose. Now we have a 2-piece monster helm, Pirate Skeleton. So at first this seems counterproductive. Don't want to take damage. Also I'm using the major protection Resto alt as well. And here's the thing about this, is previously you could cleanse the minor defile, so you would basically just get the major protection anyways. But when you get zerged down all the time and 15-20 people are taking a lot of damage and you're guarding a target, that major protection proccing all the time for 12 seconds is an utter game changer. The minor defile is just barely even noticeable because I have major mending, I have minor vitality, I have my healing amplifications from heavy armor, so it's just a drop in the bucket for me. I tested a million different sets, so you can see all the gear that I have. Infernal Guardian. A lot of people want to wear this, and basically your max magic pool isn't high, so you're not doing a whole lot of damage with this. So yeah, it looks cool to lob mortars and stuff, and yeah, hit someone, but you're doing 2k, maybe 3 or 4k crits to people. So it's just not that good of a set in my opinion. Self-survivability, Malabeth is spectacular, as it gives you major vitality, you already have minor, and you already have major mending. Absolutely freakishly powerful set that also procs off your guarded target. So if you're looking for self-survivability, both of these are very, very strong. Personally, I think Pirate Skeleton is stronger. Why is Pirate Skeleton stronger? Well, as it stands now, major protection applies to your shields. That's why all the Sorks have switched to this set. So if I have a Blazing Shield on, and Pirate Skeleton procs, I bar swap, and I use Elusive Mist. What happens? Okay, so first off, Elusive Mist reduces damage taken by a flat amount, 75%. I already have my major protection, reduces damage done to me as well by 30%. Then I have even more damage reduction via Undeath. The lower health I get, the harder it is to kill me. Major protection applies to my shields. Shields cannot be critically hit. My shield takes 75% less damage while in mist form. So that, 10k shield here, bar swapped, mist form, it can't be crit, it's taking 75% less damage, and major protection applies to it. That's why I'm so tanky. The last option I see that's viable is Lord Warden. I think this is going to be great for group play in the future because a lot of times you're hitting head on, and that extra resistance applies with your major and minor, and is a lot of resistance. Really makes you tanky in your group. So I can see this being something that's very, very useful. So if you don't have Pirate Skeleton, I'd go with Malabeth for now. I also tried Swarm Mothers. Troll King's always a good option, but your healer should be running that. And then Engine Guardian, it's just got nerfed into the ground. I really don't see it being viable anymore because you can't repent the droid. And that was the whole thing with me, is that I could reliably use Repentance to get the droid. And now that that's changed and the one piece is health recovery, I'd rather just, manage my resources effectively than use this set. And so, RIP, Engine Guardian, I've loved you for a long time. Couple other things you're going to want to know. I have Impenetrable trait here. Now, I listed my spreadsheet Infuse and Sturdy, and Black Rose Infuse and Sturdy is a little bit hard to get a hold of. The reason I did that is because you're going to be using a shield a lot. Shields cannot be critically hit. So, Impenetrable doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, the Infuse trait is good as well to pump up your max stats, or Sturdy if you're going to block when you're out of magic. You will be out of magic at some time, so Sturdy makes sense. Infuse also makes sense. Even Divines makes sense. I mean, not Reinforced really, or Nirnhone, but there's a lot of trait options that you can use. When in doubt, stick with Impenetrable, because there's going to be some times where you're not going to be able to cast your shield, and it's going to be effective for you. Also, I use Tri-Stat Food. I don't believe in this Witch Mother's Brew stuff. You need max stamina. So if you don't have max stamina, you're not going to be able to break free. That's a big problem with everyone's builds that I see every day, is that they do one dodge roll, one break free, they're out of juice. And good players are going to capitalize on it. Yeah, you can go up against bad players and nuke them because they don't know how to CC you, but reliably having 15k stamina or more is a must. Tri-stat. Tri-stat potions on our Argonian equals full stats. This thing, heal-wise, is freaky. So we go to Argonian. I think it's the best race in the game right now. People are starting to realize why. And if you look here, when you drink a potion, restore 12% of your max health, magic, stamina. Okay, well, if I drink a potion, and I'm on my front bar, because that's where I have all my health, 12% of that, plus the almost 9k on top of the potion that I drank, I can heal for a staggering amount. So it becomes even more beneficial to be an Argonian. An Imperial is also a really good choice because you have 10% max health and you have 10% max stamina. With an Argonian, I get 9% max health, so I'm only missing a percentage, and I get increased healing done and received, plus this sucker and increased magic. I think, regardless if you're playing Magic or Stam, it is one of the strongest classes as a tank, as a healer, not as a PvE DPS, but a PvP DPS. You're damn right, and it's because of this passive. So, we talked about no champion points, but if you were to play with champion points, and I have this set up for something else as well, but basically the general setup I have for PvE tanking is this, right? So what I would do, if this were the case, I'm used to no cost reduction, so I'm going to take that out. I'm going to take my stamina cost. I'm going to put it in B-file. B-foul. B-fool? B-file? Now, the math doesn't add up major to file, minor to file in this, and that's because it's multiplicative, or I forget, additive, multiplicative, whatever the hell it's called. So it doesn't add up 33 plus 25 plus whatever. But we got it to 77%. So if you want to stop them annoying-ass healers like my build, this is how you do it. Coming over here, if you are going to use CP, just stick to what works. A bunch in the Blessed, bunch in Elfborn. Critical hits aren't that important, but I would put about 20 points into resistance. And then you gotta pump up this sucker, Bastion. So with CP, yes, your shields get cut in half, but that effect gets cut in half by the Bastion. So it's incredibly, incredibly strong in CP, but it's still just as strong in non-CP. Last thing I'll say about this build is it's really close call between my Stamina T3 Hybrid for Battlegrounds and this. I think this offers better burst healing, it offers better AoE damage, but the Dragon Knight offers better control, so reliable stun and immobilize. We'll have to see what happens in the future of the game, and really determines on if immobilizes get a cooldown like break free. If something like that happens to immobilizes, then I can see this being more impactful. But until then, something with an immobilize is essential. We have the Warden coming up. That's on the horizon, looking really good. I played it personally. It's going to be a juggernaut. That's all I can say. So I can't wait to do something similar with that class, but I'm not going to come out with anything until it's finished, until I get on the PTS and I can see some of the balance changes, because I don't want to BS you guys and come up with a build that doesn't work and I just wrote it down on paper, because I play these things. And that's why it took me so long to come out with this, because I had to play it over and over and over to find out what works and what doesn't. Speaking of what works, what doesn't, if you're looking to play a magic plar, basically in PvP, like no CP, DPS, the simplest thing to do, put 5 rattle cage on your body, sword and board lich, lich jewelry, Lascoria, and a destro staff. Just stick to the skills basically in the Telvar Timmy series, the Telvar Timmy PvP video, and you can be effective. Okay, Deltia, why haven't you came out with a build for that yet? It doesn't feel that impactful, to be completely honest with you. And yes, I could do a build video and that sort of thing, but if it's not super impactful or super, way better than B mode, I don't think it deserves a video. So that's why I haven't done this. So this has been a lot more fun to play than, say, a Magplar DPS to me. So if I do find something out about Magplar DPS that is good, I'll share it. I'll make a build video. But until then, it works just fine with B mode, and it's not really way better with the rattle cage setup, though it's nice having heavy armor. Thank you so much for watching. I got something in the works with good old Bone Pirate and Ravager for the Stamsork. So I had to bring Solo Yellow back and not play a tank for once and go kill some folks. So look for that. As far as PvE builds, I haven't really been doing any Magic Sorks, damn Nightblade, you guys have been asking about them. And really it stayed the same, minus the pet build for the Sork and a couple tweaks to the Nightblade. And look, if I don't like it and don't enjoy it, I'm not going to make a video about it unless it's really changed. So that's why I haven't gone there. So stay tuned. Once things change, Morrowind comes around, we got a lot of content in store. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, and like if you want more of this content. We'll see you next time.